There we go. Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope everybody is doing great. I am playing with some new features here. Like I said, this is me playing around with some new tools, and it is a wonderful day to have a wonderful day today. Today is Tuesday. We're going live at 11. And today's topic, I hope you can see it on the screen, is do employees feel a sense of belonging? I love this conversation because for me, I know I've always wondered, is this the right fit for me? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Am I in the right group of people to be working with to provide my talents and my services and make an impact with this organization? And so I just want to have a conversation about how do you know if you belong in an organization? So we're going to jump right into it. There are three things I think are key signs to knowing that you are a part of or belonging to an organization. One, you feel welcomed, right? And you feel like you're not an outsider. Number two is you are included in those decision making processes. It's like they actually want to hear what you have to say, and you're able to give your input, and people actually listen to you. Number three is your personal values align with the organization. This one is key for me. Knowing that they have the same goal and mission and work ethics and vibe is how I know whether or not I belong to an organization. So I just want to share that with you and silence my phone as we continue on because everybody's trying to reach me. But throughout my career, I have felt a lack of belonging in a number of different environments. But we're talking about career, right? And even before my career, when I was trying to establish my career, I felt like I didn't really belong in certain college environments or organizations. And even my workplace also felt as if I didn't feel as if I wasn't there. So those are some of the indicators that I look back and go, yeah, you know what? It didn't really was a fit, or yes, it was a fit for me. And so my question today is for organizations to consider: do employees need to feel a sense of belonging in their cultural working environment? I'm wondering if anyone has ever questioned, right? If you've belonged in a working environment, whether it be working or a college institution. Let me know in the chat. I believe organizational culture plays a huge role. Like everyone says, well, you got to know the culture of how it works over here. And I believe it plays a significant role, whether you be a student or an employee, to know how you're thinking about it. It influences how one perceives, I should say, their work environment. It is how I perceive my work to be. It's my interaction with colleagues or classmates. And ultimately, it's how do I feel about belonging in this organization or institution. But first, I want to dive into some statistics that highlight, right, the connection between organizational culture and employee belonging. One of the statistics that I like is by Gallup study, prominent people who do a lot of statistics and studies. Employees who feel a strong sense of belonging are 50% more likely to stay, with their current employer. And on the other hand, companies with poor company culture, around 48% are more likely to be looking for a new job opportunity. And then there's number two, research from Deloitte reveals that 80% of employees who feel like their workplace is diverse, okay, and inclusive. It's a report that it's a strong sense of belonging when there's a diversity and there's a sense of inclusivity. However, 40% of employees still believe their organizations are not effectively creating an inclusive environment. So that's things to consider. Then there was another study I looked up by Harvard, right? Harvard Business Review found that employees who felt a sense of belonging were 3.5 times more likely to contribute positively, okay? Positively to their organization. And when they highlight the significant role leadership plays in fostering this feeling, it creates a positive environment. So, yes, the sense of belonging can increase retention and productivity in our organizations. It can foster collaborative effort, like wanting to work with your coworkers, wanting to work with your leadership to reach that one goal, right? That bottom line. What is the bottom line for the organization? How can we reach it? It is my plea that there needs to be a sense of belonging for the people that will help the organization, right, get to that goal. But I want to also dive into why do some people not feel like they don't belong? I kind of talked about it for myself. Employees may not feel like they belong if they perceive their organization's culture doesn't embrace any kind of diversity, any inclusivity about making them feel like they can add to that bottom line. Then there's poor communication. If there aren't adequate channels for us to communicate, then there's this feeling of isolation. Okay, that's like the opposite of belonging. Isolation is what we're dealing with, I think, in today's mental health crisis, is that everybody is just kind of in their own world and isolated and not really connected to others in identifying how they can work together to meet that bottom line. And when employees feel like they are left in the dark, right, um, about any kind of company decisions, they feel disconnected, you know? And then the third one is if an employee's personal values don't really align with the organization's values, they might struggle to find common ground and obviously that sense of belonging. I'm curious to know if you felt any of those. I know for me, like I said, I've experienced some of them, but the one that really stands out to me is the mismatched values. I know for one company that I used to work for, I just didn't agree with their way to get to the bottom line. And if there's any that doubt or feeling, then that is a sign. That's what I'm saying. When I look back and I go through what are the signs, I realize I just didn't align with the way that they were going about getting their bottom line. So I think that's a big one where people understand that their values, right, your core values are what's really driving that sense of belonging. And I talk a little bit about those core values in my latest book, Co-Create with Confidence. But when you know your values, then it's easier to identify in a working environment or an institution that meets your core values. And hopefully when you get there, it's that you feel that sense of belonging. But it starts with identifying your core values. So to create an environment where employees truly feel, that they belong in the environment, I feel that organizations must embrace diversity and encourage open communication. Tough topics need to be brought up, and we need to be able to listen to what employees, staff, and students are saying about the concerns and how it relates, obviously, to the bottom line, which, in my opinion, is retention and meeting that end goal that is set by the organization. And I think it's important also to create meaningful support. But what does meaningful support look like? I think, training or events or having that open dialogue so that you can have that conversation with your leadership or your boss or your coworker, that creates that meaningful support. So I think by avoiding, these are the things that I would say organizations need to avoid. Okay, number one is superficial efforts, right? That, and then I think they also need to address underlying issues as well as build a sense of belonging through for the benefit of the employees and the organization as a whole. And there's a number of ways that you can do that, right? You can set up an event. You could set up a one-on-one time with the employee. You can set up a town hall meeting. But having that environment where you can share the mission for the organization, and you can hear how those students or employees are a part of that mission, and allowing them to feel as if they are a part of the mission by hearing how they can support that end goal and get to that bottom line. So I just really want to encourage you that if you don't feel like you're belonging, to think of these, 3 techniques to kind of gauge whether or not you do fit with that organization, or you feel like you're being heard and seen. And try it on for size. I have some more do's and don'ts for how to create that environment on one of my LinkedIn articles. So I invite you to check it out on LinkedIn. Let's connect on LinkedIn. And if all else fails and you'd like me to help you in your organization, I invite you to check out CharleneHarrySpeaks.com. So this is my, second time doing this with this tool. So it's a little different because I'm not really seeing any comments. So if you do comment, know that I will respond to the comments accordingly once I see them. But for now, I'm going to call it a day for 15 with Charlene as we discuss whether or not it's important for employees to feel a sense of belonging in their cultural environment. And what does that belonging look like? I hope that you're able to identify that you do belong in your working environment, and that if not, you are working with your organization in order to make that happen, right? Because if we see an issue, there's nothing more than not doing anything about it, but to present a solution. So I'm very solution oriented, and I believe that's the way we reach or elevate ourselves in our career and life. So present this as an opportunity for your organization if you feel there is a lack of diversity or inclusion and a sense of belonging in your environment. That's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for watching as well. And please share your comments below if you've experienced any of the 3 examples that I have shared on knowing whether or not you feel a sense of belonging in your working environment. Cheers to a terrific Tuesday. I'm going to get me something to eat and see if I can get me a little 10-minute workout in. Okay. Stay healthy, protect your energy, and elevate. Take care, guys.